Good afternoon, and welcome to the Boring Millionaire podcast. Today's Tuesday, September 2nd, and in this episode, I want to discuss what four stocks I'm buying this week, why I would be buying them, and how you could buy them regardless of what your budget is. So let's start with your budget. Let's say you could comfortably put $20 into the stock market this week. First of all, I know $20 doesn't sound like much, but if you're committed to a disciplined investment strategy, that $20 over the course of a couple years is going to go a very long way. And if you're investing for the long term, it will slowly build and slowly begin a snowball effect where you just begin to see your money grow larger and larger. So the first stock I would buy this week is Amazon. Now, I would be buying Amazon because it is trading at its 3-month average, and that 3-month average is 8% off of its all-time high. So you're getting a grade A company that shapes the world that we live in, and you're getting it at a discount at an important trading metric. Now, the 3-month average, it's some of the nerdy chart stuff that stock traders look at, but it is a good signal to be buying stocks at, and especially that Amazon put out a great earnings report this quarter. They're just balancing after that earnings report. There's nothing negative in that report. So that leads me to believe that the company will perform well in the future. So I'm investing in Amazon this week. And the way you can invest in Amazon with that $20 is you could take the $20 and you break it into four $5 increments, and you'll take that $5 and put it into Amazon. Now, I know what you're thinking, $5 into Amazon at $2.25 a share. You're not really getting much, but I like to think less about the amount of shares and more about the money that's invested in this company. You might have 0.03 of a share of Amazon. However, you have $5 invested in a service that everybody on the planet uses. Amazon's never going to go anywhere. And those are the companies I like to invest in. So as long as your money is being invested into those companies over the long term, it doesn't matter how little the monetary value might be. You are invested in the world around you, and that will carry you to a better financial future. So with that said, the second $5 I'm going to take and I'm going to put it into Netflix. Netflix is the leader in streaming services. They put out a mid earnings report earlier in the quarter, and we've been trading in a little bit of a narrow range from then. So it is currently trading at its 6-month average. It's been bouncing between its 6-month and its 3-month average, but it refuses to fall below that 6-month average. And for that reason, I want to buy it at that metric for the long term, being that Netflix is, again, a staple in the world that we live in. The third stock I'm buying this week is Nvidia. Nvidia is the leader in the semiconductor space. They make the chips for practically everything. And with that said, Nvidia put out their earnings report last week. And though it was a great earnings report, the stock did see a little bit of a sell-off afterward. I do believe that came from just profit taking. Nvidia has been on an outrageous tear for the past 5 years, quite frankly, but over the past 4 months, it has also been rallying higher into record territory. So with that said, it's been making such strong moves. I think people who have been involved in the company for a long time, they're looking at this earnings report and they're saying, how much better can we get? Let me just take some money out before things get crazy. And with that, we're seeing a little bit of a breather. We are trading at its 3-month average. So again, an important metric that I like to look at when buying stocks. And for those reasons, I'm buying Nvidia this week. It's a company I want to be in for the long term, and it's presenting a discount from its all-time high. And those are good enough reasons to be buying stocks, and that's why I'm buying Nvidia. And then the final stock I'm buying this week is Coca-Cola. Now, Coca-Cola, again, a globally recognized brand that we should all be familiar with. It's a very slow-moving stock, but it is a certain stock. You could count on it to move over the long term, and though it might be at a little bit more of a turtle's pace, it has a hard shell, so you could count on it. And another important thing about Coca-Cola is that they pay a 3% dividend over the course of the year. So what a dividend is, it's an annual income that you get paid every 3 months just for ownership of the shares. So if you're buying Coca-Cola at these levels, you're getting paid over the next year 3% of what that money's worth just for having the shares. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to act or do anything at all. You just own those shares, you hold them in your portfolio, and you get paid a background income for that ownership. So not only can you make money as it appreciates in value, you get paid an income for owning some companies and their shares over the longer course of time. So I absolutely love Coca-Cola for those reasons. All of the other stocks I mentioned this week do not pay a dividend. So I did want to put one in there that's going to earn me that background income while I'm waiting for these assets to appreciate. And Coca-Cola is also trading at its 1-year average. So earlier I mentioned the 3-month average and the 6-month average. The 1-year average is also very important to look at. So with those three metrics to look at, looking at price discounts and just looking at the company as a whole, making sure they're not imploding with some sort of catastrophe, those are the things I like to look at when investing in the stock market. And then again, just be reminded, you could invest with any budget. We now live in a world where you could buy fractional shares. So hypothetically speaking, if a stock is worth $100, you could put $20 into it and get 0.2% of a share, which is value in the company. It is ownership in the company, and it is your money invested in the world around you. So with all these things said, always feel free to reach out to me with any questions you might have. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. And all other episodes of my podcast are on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. My other episodes, every week I like to include a market update, a particular stock of the week that I'm investing in, and of course these picks of the week. So thank you for tuning in. I'm hoping that this is helpful in making you feel confident in investing in the stock market. And I will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in.